Hello, my name is Samantha Armenta, and I'm going to be doing my presentation on identity theft through our main computer science textbook, and that is going to be Chapter 5, 3.1, and 3.2. This first lesson, 3.1, is on stealing identities. Identity theft describes crimes in which a criminal uses the identity of an unknowing innocent person. Some identity theft is a result of stolen wallets or purses, and some can also be a result from family, friends, or acquaintances using that information for identity theft. However, this presentation is mainly going to be focused on hacking and other technical theft. The text defines our identity as being a series of numbers and computer files, such as credit and debit card numbers, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, phone numbers, account numbers, credit history, work history, and driving records. When this information gets into the hands of the wrong person, it can definitely be used towards identity theft. Debit and credit card fraud. Most credit card companies and other businesses are the ones that suffer the loss of fraud. So when money is taken from you or your account, most of the time you are able to open a fraud case, and most of the time the company will pay you back that stolen money. And that would definitely be the best case scenario because the victim would be receiving their money back. However, victims also may suffer the loss of good credit rating. They can be prevented from borrowing money in the future, such as loans. They could be unable to get a job or an apartment. And in very extreme cases, they can even be sued by creditors from that stolen, borrowed money that the thief can use. Many solutions developed in response to identity theft illustrates the continual leapfrogging between increased sophistication of security strategies and increased sophistication in criminal strategies. So I used this quote from the text because I feel it shows the forever evolving techniques used by these hackers. These are some of the popular techniques that our textbook does talk about. These techniques send millions of messages phishing for information to steal money and goods from innocent people. The first one is called phishing, and that is when someone can receive fraudulent spam emails asking you to confirm personal information. Oftentimes, it comes from big, well known companies like PayPal, Amazon, or you can even receive an email from your own personal bank asking you to confirm certain information. The second one is called smishing. It's very similar to phishing. The only difference is that instead of receiving these messages from emails, you're receiving them as text messages. The third one is called vishing. This is phishing for that same information as the first two. However, this happens over the phone instead. The last one is called farming, and this is when people try to lure you to fake websites where they try to collect personal information to use against you to steal money in the future. So you can get this multiple ways. You can receive it through email form or text messages, but they try to send you to a different website to collect that information. Something you also have to be careful for is popular job hunting websites. They're at these websites, they tend to collect personal information like home addresses, social security numbers, birthdays, work history, and a lot of other personal details. And all of that would be great information for someone looking to steal. Some of these people, some of these thieves may pose as possible future employers, and they can ask you for more information or even a background check. And a lot of people on these websites are willing to give that information up because they're hoping that this can be their employer in the future. So it's just something you have to be extra careful of, and definitely don't give any information until you are actually in an interview. That can definitely save some identity theft. The second part of my presentation is on lesson 3.2, which is responses to identity theft from the same textbook. The first part of this is checking the websites for authenticity, and there are a number of ways to do this. A new way is new geographic software that can determine location. So if you are looking for a website that is mainly supposed to be local and you look up the location and it's coming up somewhere completely different, that would definitely be a red flag to you to not use that website. Some browsers now have their own software where they red flag websites that are known to collect and misuse information. Most financial businesses have multiple techniques to assure that their personal information is safe. And I normally set that up in the beginning when you sign up for these companies. Something that you can do on your own is if you receive an email that seems a little bit suspicious, you can go to the return address for that confirmation. And if you're supposed to be receiving an email from maybe PayPal or Amazon and you go to that return address and it's coming up as a Yahoo email or a hotline email, that would be a big red flag that those companies don't use those emails. A con for some of the software that red flags certain websites is sometimes these safe software programs make mistakes and small businesses suffer for it. These small businesses may lack the resources to get certified like the larger businesses. So it can definitely hurt their reputation if they're known as an unsafe website. So the next response is the importance of authenticating customers and preventing the use of stolen numbers. Some sites can identify home computers or laptops to verify that it is the correct user. So if you always go on this website in this one location on this one computer, the website will notice a change in that pattern. Some customers provide extra information when they first open up their account, and they will be able to reconfirm that information later if there is any suspicious activity. There is also a lot of new intellectual software that can calculate risk based on typical behavior of that customer. So if somebody always logs on at a specific time of day in a specific location, and then one day that typical behavior changes, the software will red flag that and be able to communicate that to the website and the customer as well. Something that is it should be a pretty easy way of preventing debit and credit card fraud would be stores to check ID and signatures when people make those card purchases. Unfortunately, stores don't do that because they don't want to upset the customer and they want to speed up the process, which is very unfortunate because it would be able to stop a lot of debit and credit card purchases made by somebody else. The last response to identity theft is reducing the damage of identity theft. So, fraud alert is when they put a flag on your credit record that tells the credit bureau to call you for confirmation when anyone tries to open a new credit account in your name. Something else that a lot of consumers are trying to do is they're trying to push for laws that make the company that loses your personal information pay for those damages. So that holds those companies accountable for that loss of information. I decided to end my presentation with this quote from the text. Reducing the incidence of fraud by identity theft and its monetary and personal costs requires continual evolving methods for authenticating the parties on both sides of a transaction. I think this basically sums it up because once there is a new security measure, there's always going to be somebody working to get past that security measure. So it's a continuous cycle. So that is my presentation. I hope that helped you learn something more about identity theft.